Welcome to Living a Life by Design. It's the journey back to you and living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. Did you know your accountability and possibility is by design? God designed a phenomenal life for you, gave you the gift of choice. Esther helps empower you to discover and pursue the purpose that is already in you. Are you ready to look at yourself and see your future? Then get back to what is really important in life and get in alignment with your true self. Stay tuned to Living a Life by Design. Journey back to you and start living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. It all starts now.
Oh, hello, everyone, and happy New Year. Special guest, Deborah Bradley. I'm going to quickly read her bio to you, and then we're going to get started in our powerful, enlightening, and as I like to say, juicy conversation. And this is perfect, the perfect conversation to start off year 2024, the year of more, or whatever it is that you have declared this year to be for you. The Wealthy Woman Deposits will get you started. And by the way, if you're a man and you're listening, this is for you as well. So let me just read her bio. Deborah Flemming Bradley is a public relations professional who encourages people to jumpstart to their entrepreneurial spirit. From startups, existing, or relaunching companies, she has successfully shown her clients how to win with their own God-given talents. Deborah holds a bachelor's degree in public relations and marketing from the University of South Carolina School of Journalism and Mass Communications, and a minor in Spanish. She currently serves as the member of the National Association of Black Journalists, ColorCom, and the Public Relations Society of America. Through continued education, Deborah received a certificate of completion for crisis management through Public Relations Society of America and the Lisa Nichols Certified Transformational Trainer Program. That is where Deborah and I have met and just curated a wonderful, not just friendship, but a sisterhood. So Deborah, in addition, she has co-authored Unleashed and Undeniable Impact with public speaker and trainer Dr. Cheryl Woods and the renowned motivational speaker Les Brown. She's also featured in Courageous Magazine in 2021 and Young Black Entrepreneur Magazine in 2022. Born in and raised in Columbia, South Carolina, Deborah is proudly married to Donald Bradley, 28 years and counting, and the mother of 4 adult children, Brandon, Brian, Bryce, and Brooke. And ladies, let me ask you, and men and everyone, let's just welcome Deborah Bradley, because today I'm so looking forward. Deborah, welcome to Life by Design, Living a Life by Design. And please reintroduce yourself and let's just begin this powerful dialogue.
Well, you did such an amazing job, Dr. Esther Graham, and I appreciate you so much for having me on your platform for your audience. And yes, we want more in 2024. I am Deborah Flemming Bradley, and as Esther said, I've been an entrepreneur for over, 20-something plus years, and building businesses of all different types, and working along with my husband, family-owned business. And I want more in 2024, Esther. I loved how you said that. I want more in 2024. So thank you so much for that gracious introduction.
Yeah. I tell you what, Deborah, when I think about more in 2024, as I said earlier, the Wealthy Woman Deposits, and I want to add, men, if you're listening, this includes you as well. Don't tune it out because it says women, because what she is going to share when it comes to what does it really take to be a wealthy woman? What are the deposits? Because many times we think about just the money, right? But when we want more in 2024, Deborah, I want you to just kind of bring this to view with us, that what does it mean, the Wealthy Woman Deposits?
Yes, I want to say this, and I'm so glad that you are inviting the men in on this conversation, because it's very, very important. Look, for them to understand us too as well.
Yes,
What we're looking
exactly.
for, what we aspire to be. When I started the Wealthy Woman Deposits is when I became an empty nester after all of my children were leaving out of the home. And as many people find out, it doesn't matter how much money you make. My husband and I are, we're financially set. Our generational wealth continues to build. I mean, everything has just been going good with us. But there were some areas that I was lacking in that I didn't build up. I got the finances done. I got the business done. We built an empire together. But what happens with the other aspects of your life? Like, what about those relationships? Are they sustainable for the journey? A lot of us lose people on the way to our journey,
Yeah.
to building wealth and to building our careers, right? And so I found that when I looked around, when I wanted to celebrate something, all those people who were on the journey with me were no longer there. So we talk about one of those deposits for relationship sustainability. Another thing was I had to work on my spirituality even more than ever. We come to times where we have a lot of faith in God, and we say, God willing, this will happen. And we say all these things of how we want our spirituality to be. But it's very contradictory for us to say we want this and that we trust wholeheartedly in the man above or whoever you worship, whoever that higher being is for you. And then you don't trust yourself and that you can do and you can build that empire. Some of us will contradict that. We have to know that when you walk outside the door, yeah, you're protected by the armor of God. You don't know what's going to happen for you, but you have to keep that narrow focus that he is with you along the way. And look, we're in the present. We're right here. So whatever is coming to us, we got to use our shield. We got to build these shields up to protect us and to protect those relationships that we have now. And that's can maybe go back and get them and bring it back up. And so the other thing too, when I empty nested, it got really quiet around my home. And it can start to mess with your mental and physical health.
Listen, y'all, if you know this is true for you, type it in chat because this is so, yes, it definitely does.
Yes. And I'm telling you, I mean, Esther, you sit around, the house is quiet, and all the things that you used to do over the years and making sure kids got to school, making dinners, I have 4 kids, so it's a family of 6. So I'm always doing big things, making sure we have enough for everybody. And it wasn't there anymore. And I was like, okay, you got a degree that you're not working in. Because I stayed at home for the first, I'm gonna say 16 to 18 years of all of my children's lives. And so I was like, okay, you have this degree that you've been touching on and off, you're doing independent work. And I loved what I did. But I felt like I wasn't done, okay, now I'm home, me and my husband are home, we're still building this business, but what about the things I said I was going to do before the marriage, before the kids? And I had that list and I was like, I'm not even checking off my list of what I said I was going to do before this beautiful thing called life happened, for me. So I had to, make some changes. I had to get that mental together that at this age and stage of my life, I got a lot of go in me. So I'm not going to sit back and let it go and say, I wish I could have done that. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now. And the beauty of it too was that physical health. And if you want to talk about that, I just got off my Peloton because I'm in my 50s now and that weight doesn't fall off like it used to. So I got back in shape and I feel very energetic and I'm very happy and emotionally. You can't have the mental without the physical. You can't have the physical without the mental.
Yeah. What I love about what you're saying and just the whole wealthy women deposits, and I know you're going to speak about the rest of it, it all comes together, like a system, that really you can't have this without the other, that it all needs to come together. And one of the words that you used before is that it brings harmony. And part of what you do is bring in harmony. I also love the fact that you said, you had to go back to what was your dreams and what you wanted to accomplish for you before the marriage, before the children, before all of these things happen. And I think what happens to us is that we forget this is what I wanted to do before all. I know I did. And I did the same thing. I had to go back and say, oh, wait a minute, let me grab this. This is what, and so I love that piece. You went back and you grabbed it, but what caused you to go back and grab it is when something, let's say, dramatic happened. You became an empty nester.
Yes.
The house got real quiet.
Yes.
And I'm sure when that happened, you had to go back and say, okay, what is my purpose here? I've completed the purpose of raising my kids. They're now adults, yes, we've started this business and that's great, but what am I doing for me?
Yes, yes. I can tell you too, one thing, I'm glad that you brought that up because we can plan our financial futures and our careers and
Mhm.
everything, right? But we don't plan what retirement should look like for us. We don't plan those years after the kids are gone because we're in the work of trying to get everybody along. And then you look up, it's like, what was the plan?
Yeah.
What was the plan? And so, as we go into our careers and we get our education and all that, sometimes we don't think ahead. I didn't make a plan. That was the problem. Okay, the kids are out. Now what?
Yeah.
Now what? There's so much traveling you can do. There's just so much things that you can do. But yes, and I enjoy all the fruits of my labor, but still, what was left on that list that I had not accomplished that I can still do now? And everything on that list I can still do. So I had to, get busy on
Yeah.
working on me and then stop being, okay, my husband is traveling, and everything like that. I'm here, I was starting to feel some resentment,
Yeah.
like,
Oh
why
yeah.
are you feeling
Oh yeah.
resentment
Yeah.
and everything like that? He's saying he's doing everything he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
He's, my husband had his ambitious dreams too. And he knew his plan, what it was going to look like. And it was to get to a point that his family was financially set, and then he would relax and enjoy the fruits of his labor. And then we found out that this is just wonderful. Why stop what we're doing? But he's been checking off everything. And as he goes into this last quarter, what we call the fourth quarter of life and everything, he was doing that. And I was sitting there watching him, and your happiness can't be dependent on other people's happiness. They can't make you happy like they're making themselves happy. So Deborah,
Exactly.
what makes you happy? Esther, what makes you happy? What haven't you done? And what do you need to do to get
Exactly.
that energy back up, to get your life back? Because you consumed a lot of it during those childbearing ages, raising the kids and everything. It's all consumed. What do you have left to tackle that list?
And that's it. What do you do to get your life back? I used to joke all the time because I was there to where I sat and I watched my husband doing all of these different things and he's doing what he's called to do and what he wants to do and he's fulfilling purpose. And I became resentful too. And I began to say, wait a minute, who am I? What am I? I'm just, I used to joke and say, I'm living vicariously through my kid's life, through his life. I'm not living my own life, you
Yeah.
know? And so it's like, wait a minute, let me stop because I need now to live my own life. Deborah, listen, we're about to take a break. Just to let everyone know, when you see me looking down, I'm just checking Facebook for any comments or anything like that. So I'm not ignoring you at all, but we are about to take a break and we will be right back with more juicy conversation. Welcome back to Living a Life by Design with my very special guest, Deborah Bradley, and we are talking about the wealthy woman deposits. And listen, y'all, if you're now coming on, this has been a powerful, juicy conversations. Just if you're listening, little nuggets, and you can identify yourself here. And listen, and please, whether you're on YouTube or wherever you can comment, please comment. And if you have questions, please feel free to ask your questions because if we can answer it, we will. So let's go, Deborah, from where we left off in the first segment. Grabbing your life back. I said that I lived vicariously and really I lost myself. I began to really not know who I was anymore. And I really had to begin to go back and grab my life back, rediscover who I am. And really, I call it redesign my life so I could begin to live my life by design. In other words, I had to begin to make the deposits back into my life. So let's continue there because you said you had to go back and grab yourself.
Yes, yes. And so that starts off with relationship, sustainability. I mean, okay, so when I first met my husband, he told me several things about himself. He said he was going to be a millionaire. He told me that he was going to be moving back home from where he was from. He's always been in sales and marketing. He knew specifically, I told him I was going to be in public relations. I was going to own a big PR firm. I was moving to Atlanta. We're telling the aspirations, right? And when my husband was saying that he was going to be a millionaire, I actually stopped and I got quiet because I had never had someone say, I'm going to be one. He didn't say, hey, I'm gonna try to be one. He said, I'm going to be one. It was so definitive, and that statement was there, right? And so when we were, started off our friendship and our courtship, I was like, golly, this is amazing that he is so knowing how he's going to do this and how he's going to build that. And it's going to be in sales and marketing. It didn't matter what company, that's what he was going to achieve, right? And so we got married, had a baby in the first year. He's progressing in his career. I'm at home with the baby, and I'm loving motherhood. We have a baby boy, and I'm going through that. I finally get a job, and life is going great. And then my husband decided he didn't want to work in his corporate job anymore. He wanted to be on his own. So I'm watching him go through this, right? And as he was going through it, it was like this little gap. Okay, then I get pregnant, the second kid, the third kid, then the fourth kid. But I'm helping him in everything that he needs to do. I'm being, that rib. I'm being that person, there for him, and sustaining that. But he always maintained all his relationships of everybody. So when he was doing something or he needed help with something and building his business, he knew who to call and do that, right?
Yes.
Me, I was all about my family. I had my friends and stuff like that.
That's what we do as women.
I would check, I would check on, every once in a while. And then when it got to child 4, I wasn't, checking in as much. Things were happening. Everybody was going apart. I was watching all my friends get their careers and higher degrees and stuff. And I wasn't. I was like, oh my gosh, I am so off track. But the blessings and being home with my kids have made them the type of individuals that they are today, where I'm so glad that I took that time to be there. Because, God, he places things in your life, not to slow you down, but to show you your divine purpose is motherhood. This is why you here. My husband and I, we have a beautiful family. So I lost some relationships along the way from not communicating, right? People who could have probably helped me in business, people who could have made those connections for me because they were ahead of me. And that's why I'm talking, they were successful in everything. I know a lot of people who had potential, but I didn't have a connection to the people who were already being successful.
Right.
In life. So, those relationships, that was the first part of it. And then when I was doing my praying to God, I wasn't asking for what I wanted and needed.
Right.
You can't be saying, I hope that this happens for me.
No, you can't.
You have to make a definitive statement. I want and need this in my life. How do I make this happen? And once I made a definitive statement that, okay, I'm not just a stay-at-home mom. I'm a career-oriented person. I like the speed of business. I like the speed of leadership. I like being, the team player. I like being in those things. So God, what doors are going to open for me. I need, I want, this is what I want. And I stated the things that I want. And then lo and behold, I started getting called because I do have a journalism background, and someone called me for a major award show to do reporting on a red carpet. Right. And I was like, look at you, God. I don't even know who that person is to this day, but it got it. And it started transforming. And then I was finding clients who didn't have representation, celebrities, politicians that had no representation. So I was able to get my public relations career together. So when I talk about that relationship sustainability and that spirituality, and then I had to get my appearance together because I'm working around high performing people that are moving and shaking, and that endurance to work 12, 14, 15,
with heels on,
running in heels. I mean, it was a lot. And so, I had to get it together. I had to take my life back. And when God started dropping those things in my lap, I took hold of it and I was running with it. I was running with it, and I knew I had to, to get the things that he was giving to me, I had to make them count. Never ask for something for him and let it sit on a table.
And let it sit on the table. Let it go. Wait. Yeah. Because what happens, I believe, if you're not going to do it, then someone else is. He'll just give it to someone else. I like to say, Deborah, that our purpose goes in stages. And so, when we're doing the motherhood, that was our divine calling at that time. That was the purpose we had to fulfill to raise our children. but in raising and doing all of that, sometimes we do forget who we are. And what's great is that you said, God just begins to look and say, well, don't forget, I created you as well. And so now that you've done this, you've fulfilled this piece. Now let's move on to here,
Yeah.
and that's really when, what I hear you saying, that's really a part of, grabbing your life back and making deposits, the wealthy woman deposit, which is your physical, your relationships, your spirituality. And then where does that take you?
When you're making deposits into yourself, it also gives clarity in what you're trying to focus on too. Like you'll hear a lot of people, or you see a lot of people that you'll be talking to, even in coaching and stuff, people
Yeah.
are sometimes all over the place, right? They know what they want, but they're scared to say it and put
Yeah.
it out in the universe. We have to put stuff out there. What do you
Have
want?
to. You have
Say
to
it
put it in
how
the
you want
universe.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And you can't be shy or reserved about it.
that's right.
You can't,
That's right.
you just can't be that way about it. And then another thing is when we have these ambitious goals and we tell other people about it who know you and everything, and they're just like, girl, you've been raising kids all your life. You think you're gonna step out there and do something major with your career now? It is never too late. I mean, you hear most of all the great people who have made massive amount of money, they'll tell you they didn't get it until their 50s or 60s, some 70 when they became, multimillionaires and everything like that. And then also from some of the experiences that you go through and getting your life back, it makes you stronger and bigger for it. Um, we've been
Jessica,
knocking out a lot of
just with you saying that, I'm right now reading a book. I have it on my desk right here by Arthur C. Brooks, called From Strength to Strength. And that's exactly what he speaks about. He's speaking about, a lot of times your success doesn't come until the second part of your life. And
Mhm.
so don't give up, don't stop. This is when you're going to be the most successful. And he speaks about that same thing, going from strength to strength, because that's when you're going to be the most. So your journey and everything you've done, even your challenges, that's the first part of your life. Now you're in the second part of your life.
Yes, now that
Yeah,
I know what I know. Oh
exactly.
my gosh. And they're also, I'm glad that you talked about that because there's a level of maturity that you don't have when you're in your 20s, especially in business,
In
you know?
business,
And
definitely
then,
so.
thank God for my husband. He had a multimillionaire mentor
Yeah.
when he first started his career. And he kept them, he had that owner, he had a culture of success
Right.
and everything. So the grooming of my husband was there, but I didn't pick anybody. I didn't choose anybody. Do you know
Right.
it was after empty nesting that I chose my mentor and decided to follow her? This is in my 40s.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, why didn't you do this before? Because I wasn't ready for it. You're raising your kids. You're trying to be the leader for them. You're trying to make sure that they are on the right track. I have great parents. So parenting and remembering what they used to do to keep us in line and everything, I got that. I perfected being a great mom, watching my parents being married as long as they were. My husband's parents about to be married for 60 years this year, and seeing how family is so important and how to navigate through the ups and downs like that is very
Yeah.
important to me. So, being married 29 years now, I feel like I'm an expert,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would definitely not say that 10, 15 years ago because we still didn't know what we were doing. But that
Yeah.
level of maturity is so important. And when you get that second chance, it is never too late. It is never too late. If you can't work
Ever,
at
ever.
6 a.m., work out at 6 p.m. Sometimes y'all see me post and I'll be like 9 o'clock at night with a selfie of me. It's never too late. I got it in. I got it in. Making sure that I make those deposits daily. It's all about the daily habits, which is another one of the deposits. Look at your daily habits. What are you trying to accomplish? And a lot of people is like, always think about, oh, I need to work on my time management. No, you need to manage your focus. You need to manage your
I
focus.
like that. You need
You
to
can't get time
manage your
back.
focus. I
Yeah,
like that.
you cannot get your time back. That, time is deducting. But every time
Yes.
you check off a list on things that you're focusing on, you're increasing your mileage to getting to the goal or even
Yeah.
completing the
Yeah.
goal. And it makes you happy that you got it done in the lifetime of the period that you're living in your life. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's very important in getting your life back. Yeah.
Getting your life back, manage your focus. Yeah, it's so true. We often think about I need to manage my time, or I need to bring balance, which I don't believe. I don't think that there's no balance in life. I think you need
No.
to bring harmony in life. You need to just bring harmony. But managing your focus is so important, being very intentional about what you do and what you will not do.
Yes.
You will do and what you will not do. So
Yeah.
2024, you want more? Well, let's manage the focus. Great, great, great conversation. We're about to take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Living a Life by Design with your host, Dr. Esther Graham, and my very special guest, Deborah Bradley. Before the break, we were talking about managing your focus, the necessity to manage your focus. So let's pick it up right where we left off, Deborah.
Yes, yes. I love that we're talking about managing your focus, because that's how you create that ideal life,
Yeah.
is managing your focus. What is it that you want? List out I don't care if it's 100 items, list out everything that you've ever wanted in life that you have not,
That's
achieved yet, and move towards those things. A lot of time we will be thinking about what we don't want in life, what we don't need in life. And we focus on that so much where we don't even get to finish our list because we're putting too much time in what we don't want. Put all your time in moving towards what you want in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Towards it.
Move towards it. And another thing is to, when you're going through your list, it doesn't have to be any particular order and how you want to achieve it, but you do need to put a date when you would like to do that. If you're saying that you want to travel, you got to put a week or put in that time, whatever you do. If you work a corporate job, you got to put in that time and everything. You can't wait for a moment to open up for you because somebody could take that time slot from you, or the days that you want to take out. You gotta say, this is when I'm going to do it, and put it on that schedule and do everything necessary to make it happen. It is very scary when we have these ambitious goals and we want to focus and we want to create that for a lot of people. My heart was always beating every time when I saw something that was next on my list. I was like, oh boy, this is pretty big. And one thing that a lot of people do when they're on their focus, they worry about the judgment of what everybody's going to think about them doing something that they've always wanted to do. They don't want people to think that they're crazy. They don't want people laughing at them. Why would you want to do that now? You're in your 40s and your 50s. That's something that you should have did in your 20s. No, it's not about what anybody else thinks about. These are your goals. These are your deadlines. These are things that you want to have accomplished, in that in between digits, until we close our eyes. And so my whole thing is that you have to be very comfortable with all the judgment that's going to come towards you and the decisions that you make for yourself. And then
be here for yourself, because we think how, what people are going to think, but they're not living your life.
Yes.
So you have to say, what is it for yourself? It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks and how they feel. They don't have the vision for your life that God gave you for your life.
Yes.
They don't have their vision. They're not living your life.
Yes. And another thing about focus, we tend to insert other people in those goals. Like, I want to make sure I can get my kid into a great college. I want to be able to finance a college education. I want to make sure that my kids are set up and everything. We're talking about focusing on you so you can accomplish that. Don't worry about all the extra stuff on here, because what'll happen is you'll overwhelm yourself and then you don't know what direction to go. It goes into order of importance to how you feel and what you need, not anybody else.
That's right.
And that's the big thing that a lot of people do struggle with. I struggled with it because I was like, well, I can't do this now because so-and-so would just be in elementary school. No, I can't do this now. Oh, let me see. Oh gosh, that time window of doing that. A lot of us have a lot of hesitancy because it's scary. And if we got to do that, we also sometimes feel guilt because something that we normally do, that we've been trained to do to make sure that we're always there for everybody else. We don't even know how to be there for ourselves. And that was really real for me. It's not being there for myself. I've done all this, the kids and stuff are gone, and now I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to be doing with myself and everything. And then when I started focusing on the things that I want to do and checking off my list and everything, I used to think about, well, what is everybody going to think about this?
I was going to say that's the other piece is when you do decide to do it. I know for me, I just began, what are people going to think about this? What are they going to say about this? Oh, they're going to think, and so my head was, just got all caught up in what others would say or think or how they would look at me,
Yeah.
how
Oh,
they would
yeah.
perceive me. And so that is such a block and a hindrance into you really just walking according to your divine purpose, just really making those deposits in your life. The negative self-talk or the and for me, you do it so much, Deborah, that you actually begin to believe it yourself.
It's the truth. That
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
truth and everything. And it's kind of like when you've been doing something for so long,
yeah.
it does feel like that when you step out of that, even just putting one toe out of it, it's
Mhm.
very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. But that's where I found my breakthrough was through being uncomfortable.
Yeah, so true. Yeah.
And then another thing was too is and we've heard this from some of our mentors and coaches is that it's non-negotiable. My life is not negotiable, and I have to make sure that I'm doing these things for me. I do not want to be that person who had all this ambitious energy and it was like, well, she had potential. No, I want to be successful.
Yeah.
I want them to say she was successful in everything that she did. I don't want to be that potential,
Yeah.
for anybody. And then I want my children to see my mom, my dad, whoever, was growing up, they were all successful people, especially in living life.
Especially in living life. Again, I want y'all to hear what Deborah is really speaking. We haven't even gotten to the money conversation as yet. We're just talking about living life because many times when we think about being wealthy or we think about someone that's wealthy, by the way, there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. When
Yeah.
we're speaking about being wealthy, it's not just money. It's inclusive of that, but
Mhm.
that's not the major point. As a matter of fact, that's the least denominator, let's say.
Yes, yes, yes. And so now that you brought it up about being rich and wealthy, a lot of people say, I want to be rich. What does it mean to be rich? That means that you can have that cash flow coming in. You could have all the money just coming in and everything, but then you're spending it on everything that you've ever desired in your life. Some people do it all in one year. Some people, it takes them over a course a year. And then when things start happening like IRS taxes, state taxes, and things that you have to
So true.
you should have reserved money for, it comes back to get you. And then that's why we see when we see a lot of celebrities, athletes making their money, we're like, what happened to their money? Why did we hear that someone was living on the street? Why are they homeless? What happened to all that money and that contract that person signed? It's because they were rich. They were rich. And they probably, after all that spending and trying to keep up with the Joneses and everything like that, bad credit, couldn't even borrow money to save their lives if they
Yeah.
wanted to. But when you're wealthy, you're thinking about generational wealth and how to grow.
Generational wealth.
Yeah,
Keyword,
wealth. Yeah.
generational.
Yeah. Now, Esther, I'm just like any woman. I like a nice pair of shoes. I like jewelry. I like things. I love going shopping and everything to an extent and everything like that, right? I used to hear people when we first in our first round, when we hit millionaires in our one of our experiences in business, um, I didn't drive a Mercedes or anything like that. I had a minivan, a Honda minivan, and I had my four kids in it. And I was taking them to, all their sporting activities and everything like that. It was very unassuming. It was
Right,
very
right.
unassuming, and everything. But I had a beautiful home and a beautiful neighborhood with beautiful school and a beautiful community where I could raise my kids. That was so important to me.
Right,
And
right.
so now that my kids are adults and everything like that, they're being very practical with any money gifts that we give to them or anything like that with saving and making sure they want experiences more than, a huge home or a fancy car, and
Yeah.
things of that nature. A lot of the things that I have obtained was way after, the first million coming in. And I always tell people, build it and build it strong. So when things do happen, you can make the road a little
Not a
softer for
small,
you.
yeah,
We're going to go through some
exactly.
bumps and roller coasters. And I always
Yeah,
tell people, the IRS became my best friend, because when I got my first tax bill on that first million and everything, I didn't realize that almost 45% of that was going to be taxed. You don't know what you don't know.
you don't
But
know, right?
yeah, and then you have to surround yourself around some very smart people and advisors to help you keep your money. And when you're rich, you're not even thinking about surrounding yourself around that,
You're
especially if
thinking
you
about
are.
things to make, you're
Yeah,
trying to fulfill
yeah,
the present self. And, I didn't have this, so I want this. And so that's really what happens.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah. And then you're listening to people who've never made the money that you've made.
yeah,
Why are you doing that?
yeah,
No, I need to see someone that's like 10 years ahead of me. I want to know who's their wealth advisor, who's their trust and will, who is doing, all the legacy generational wealth, who is doing that for you, so we can get that consultation and make a decision for what we want to do. And a lot of
right.
people think that these things are expensive to do.
They're not.
Some trust and wills, depending on the size of your family and your assets and the things that you built in your life, it can range from $500 to $10,000. It just depends on where you are and what your needs are. And so the first time when we lost a lot of money, we foreclosed on homes, we've lost cars and everything. We didn't know in our 20s and 30s. But when we got in our 40s and we started hitting the jackpots of life for
Yeah,
that, we didn't do the same things that we did as a child.
that's right. That's right. It was time to
We're now
grow up.
adult, now mature and everything. Savings is so important, but it shouldn't sit either. It should be grown. One of our very dear friends always says that when you're new, when you're the first ever, the never ever was. That's her acronym for new.
Mm.
And my whole thing is that when you've never had anybody around you to accumulate a lot of money and land, homes, and things like that, right? It's hard to, go to someone that that's in there. So you have to trust the people that you're seeing who are already doing it and grab on, to those people and follow those. You should not be the smartest person in your circle. You
And
will
if
lose
you are, you
every
need to change
time.
your circle.
Yeah, you will lose every
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah, if you're the smartest person in your circle, you have to change your circle. This is so good because we've gone into really, what is wealth? What is the difference between being rich and being wealthy? And that's the conversation I think in 2024, if your desire is to have more of whatever more is for you, then you have to get to the conversation of building wealth, of being or making wealthy deposits in
Yeah.
your life and doing those things, setting those goals with timelines,
Yes.
because when you set a goal and you don't have a timeline, it's ambiguous. It'll
Mm-hmm.
never happen because you haven't put a date, which means you're not going to work towards it. So,
Yeah.
setting those goals with the timelines, and I love what you said. Write down what you want. I mean, and don't, sometimes we're even afraid to do that. Write it all down. It could be 100, it could be 4. What is it that you want?
Mm-hmm.
And then put your timeline as to when you want it by, so you could begin to work towards it. Those are all when you're thinking about the wealthy woman deposits, and listen, and the wealthy woman mindset,
Yes. Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
to be a wealthy woman, and let's say a wealthy man, it requires a mindset shift.
Yes.
When we come
Absolutely.
back, we will talk to Deborah about the mindset shift, because she's been talking about, if you've been listening, there's been threads of it to where she's had to make a mindset shift. She had to do some things, and she keeps saying it takes maturity. I'm not doing what I did in my 20s and my 30s. Now that I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60, because by the way, to become a wealthy woman and a wealthy man, should you choose, you could be in your 70s and 80s. It's never too late to make that shift. So when we come back, we'll talk about the wealthy woman deposits, the mindset shift. We'll be right back. Welcome welcome back to Living a Life by Design with your host, me, Dr. Esther Graham, and my very special guest, Deborah Bradley, of the owner and founder and owner of the Wealthy Women Deposits. And so we left off with a little cliffhanger, is that what they say, about the mindset shift. So we're going to talk about what does as the wealthy woman, the mindset shift. And Deborah has something very juicy to share with you. And so let me just add this little piece here. I said earlier that men, this is for you too. But if you've got a significant other, a spouse, men, your girlfriend, your daughter, make sure you share this information. All women should have this information. So if you're saying, oh, this is just for women, then I know you got a woman in your life that may need it, right? So in other words, this conversation is an everybody conversation. So Deborah, tell us about your mantra. What have you done for your mindset shift?
Yes, and leaving off from where we were talking about, as we get older, we have to compress time frames. So you have to double time those goals. So if when you're at that certain stage, think about how much time it's going to take you to do that. So I had to make a pledge to myself, and everybody should make a pledge to yourself. And y'all feel free to take what resonates with you on that. And this is the pledge that I created. And when you go to my website, this is the first thing that you see. You got to make a pledge to yourself. So this is what I pledge. I will set the standard above and beyond what is asked of me in my personal and business life. I will always maintain and adjust my goal setting strategies to achieve winning outcomes. I will practice controlling my emotions and speak life into everything I want to accomplish. I agree that I will speak less and listen more. I understand that in order to achieve any success, I must network and surround myself with like-minded individuals. I will avoid procrastination and do it now. I know that I am not my past, and I will delete self-limiting beliefs. I will never quit and will practice persistence and patience daily. I understand that it takes more than finances to be wealthy in all aspects of my life. I am a wealthy woman. So that's the pledge that I had to bring to myself. On there, Deborah, what are your core beliefs and how you should be and what you should, control in your life so you can control yourself? Because when you go into any room, you have to change who you are in the room. You can't change the room that's been set.
That's right.
Especially if it's not your room,
Exactly.
but you have to change for that to get anything that you want. You have to make the change in yourself to even make yourself even desirable for someone to even choose you for the things that you want to, especially if they hold a key to everything that you want. But if you're the person who is the owner and has set the table and everything like that, you got to pledge to yourself to keep it consistent in your focus. This is what I'm going to do to control me and the actions and desires and things that I want in my life.
Yeah. And I love what, one of the pledges that, you will surround yourself with like-minded people. In other words, that, you're going to surround yourself with people that are on a similar path.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be the exact, but we're on a similar path, together. And so you surround yourself, people that will lift you up and not pull you down.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Esther, and I can tell you, surrounding yourself with like-minded people is where my family has obtained its wealth and help others to become millionaires, six-figure income earners, whether they want to be five-figure earners, whatever that person desired to be, or to have just extra $500 in their life. It came from helping other individuals get what they want so you can get what you want to get yourself. People before profit every single time. Those individuals that joined us in our efforts, they had losses too. They had lost cars. They had lost their homes. They had the tax person calling them. They had creditors and everything like that, right? And when things were taken away from them, they wanted to fight and get it back. And so my husband and I, we made a decision that we were going to lead the charge in this, and we were going to take all the hits and punches that come along to it. And so what it has done is it has helped free not just us, but everybody around us. So doing business is such a blessing with the people that we deal with, because we all have one common goal, and that is to be financially free. We enjoy recess and travel. We love doing those things. So that's the common goal. That's the common goal, becoming financially free, helps us to have everything else that we've ever imagined in our life and more.
Yeah, yeah. Becoming financially free. So as we're talking about the wealthy woman deposits, and you gave the pledge, and a large part of that is making the mindset shift. What would you tell our audience now
Oh,
for them to get started? What would you say to them?
okay. And it's the first thing that, and I know this might sound cliche, but you need to look in the mirror and look at yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people say, well, I don't like what I see. You got to do the things that you want to see, in yourself. So the first thing is that you got to release. The first thing that I do every morning is that I release, and I thank God that He woke me up and released me from any negativity.
Yeah.
I want unconditional, you know, great, gratitude, unconditioned gratitude, where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to unconditionally love the people who are around me. I'm not setting parameters. I need to be able to receive, but I know that I have to release first to open up so I can receive the blessings that's supposed to be bestowed upon me each and every day. So the first thing I say to everybody is release first. As soon as you wake up in the morning, if your feet hit the ground, pray, whatever it is, meditate, release all your anxieties, release all those things,
Mhm.
breathe, so you can be open to receive. The next thing that I do is that I read. If you really want some freedom in your life, that book that you just talked about,
Yeah.
I'm reading Shift Happens by Dr. Robert Holden, and it is changing my life because it is showing me how to be present and to receive presence,
Yeah.
share my gifts.
Yeah.
And, it's just been so amazing of how my life has unfolded in that way. And then in the last things I like to say, I like to ride and reset. For that physical and mental health, I'm going to ride my Peloton. Some people like to walk. Whatever you do, do
Right.
something physical to get the juices flowing. And you don't have to do it first thing in the morning. I suggest that you do. But if you like me, you do it when you feel like it during that day and you get it in, and then you reflect in the evenings. Did I accomplish, or did I do the things that I said I was going to do today? And it just takes bite-sized moments. We're not talking about trying to do everything all in one day in your life. Bite size it until it builds, and just keep adding on to it so you can focus on that. It's just that looking at who you are and what you want and who you're supposed to be.
Who you're supposed. Those are excellent advice. And listen, if you haven't, if you're a part of the Life by Design community, I've posted a book. This just a suggestion for you to read, because I'm that reader. Those are the things that I do. And that morning when you get up, the prayer, the meditation, the reading the book. I don't work out as much as I used to. Well, I walk. So that's the part I have to get back into. Why? Because I find it necessary to make those deposits,
Yeah.
and after the holidays and everything, y'all know, it's like, okay, and I'm this person, I'm not going to the gym for 30 days. And then no, I set my intentions, I set my goals, I set to where I want to go. I make the deposits, and the deposits are continual. They're not just for a short period. And I don't overdo it to where I'll quit.
Yeah.
I don't overdo it. I'm very realistic with who I am and where I want to go and what I'm going to do in those little baby steps. Deborah, tell us, we have a few minutes left. So just tell us where we can reach you, or where our audience can reach you, and what you have going on. If you could do it in like 60 seconds or less.
Oh, yeah, I can do it less than that. You can find me at DeborahFlemmingBradley.com. All the free information, videos, some of the things that I talked about today. And if you want more information on it, I have a whole section of videos that you can watch. It's the same thing on YouTube, Deborah Flemming Bradley, on that, and all social media, the same thing, Deborah Flemming Bradley.
All right, Deborah Flemming Bradley. Listen, go visit that website, go visit it on YouTube and get the information. Deborah also has some wonderful programs, a program that's beginning, I believe, in February, and you never know, that may be the exact program for you. So I want to encourage you to make sure that you go out and you check out her website. Deborah, thank you so much. This has been a powerful conversation. I appreciate you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for taking your time. I know your schedule is very busy. Thank you for taking the time and joining me. And for all of you out there, thank you for joining me on this second Friday of the first year in 2024, the year of more. I appreciate you. I'll see you again on the fourth Friday of January. I believe it's January 26th. And listen, check out my Life by Design community. Go to my website, www.fddwomen.com. And don't forget, my retreat to Dubai is coming up, and we still have a couple of rooms left, slots left. So check it out, get the information. I have a webinar coming up on January 25th. So join the webinar. You'll get the information, register so you could find out. And listen, you want more? We're going to talk about more even at the retreat. I love you guys. I appreciate you. God bless. Deborah, thank you again so much.
Thank you, everyone.
God bless you. Take care, everyone. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
You have been listening to Living a Life by Design, the journey back to you, and living 365 days of purpose with host Esther Graham. Listen or watch live every second and fourth Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Discover that what is possible is already in you. God designed a phenomenal life for you. Esther helps you ignite that energy behind your personal journey for a deeper joy and peace, living 365 days of purpose. For more information on living a life by design, visit fddwomen.com.